This is the Well Within podcast for women who are tired of managing, striving and second-guessing and are ready to reclaim their power. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Ellie. We're a mother-daughter helping women reconnect to their innate power, even when life is chaotic, challenging and uncertain.
This isn't another self-improvement podcast. It requires readiness and willingness to go to the edge of something different and new, and to notice what's hiding in plain sight.
This space invites you to return to who you were before the world taught you who to be.
And reconnect to your well within.
Because when women reclaim their power, anything becomes possible.
Hello and welcome to this week's Well Within podcast. We are joined today by Marie Arymar. We are going to be having a conversation around conscious parenting and the ripple effect that it has on our children and our young adults. And yeah, welcome. It's lovely to see you again.
Thank you.
We haven't seen each other for a while. It's nice to catch up.
Yeah.
Could you introduce yourself briefly and kind of tell us where you are in the world and kind of what you do?
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. It's so nice to be here with you guys. So I'm trained as a clarity coach. That to me means that I'm guiding people to a space of clearer thinking, quieter mind, a less busy narrator in our minds. And from there, we find the answers that we're looking for. So I'm not giving answers or advice. And I really, really love that part of the work that I do. I'm down in Exeter in Devon.
Lovely part of
I've
the
always
world.
been around the South Coast, so I'm very blessed to be in a beautiful part of the world. I've come from education. So I used to work as a pastoral lead and also taught in further education colleges for 16 to 19-year-olds. I feel very drawn to young people being heard, really being heard, and getting a sense that they're okay no matter what's going on for them. On that note, I wrote, and I know that you're going to share this anyway, but I wrote a little book. Do you want to know a secret? And that's really for 8-year-olds and over, and adults as well, just really pointing to the fact that our okayness is inbuilt. And I have a podcast series too called Precarious Parenting. So I really try, as you are doing, to share this message as loud and as wide and as freely as possible. So thank you for helping me do this.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely, like you say, a shared passion. And we're just passionate about getting this message out, like you say, in whatever form that takes. So we know that you work with children, as you say, but we also know that you work with the parent separately, sometimes in that situation as well. Why do you see working with the parent as well as the child in that situation as an advantage rather than just the child on its own?
Yeah. It's such a great question. And so my client group might be maybe 9 or 10-year-olds up to adults. I might be working with, as you both, with a mum and a grown child. I'm still a child to my dad who's 83, right?
Sure.
We're all children. And I usually get a mum contact me and, they might be really upset or really worried, really, really concerned about the well-being of their child, like deeply, deeply hurt, fearful, about the future as they see it. And when I talk to the mums, and I haven't even got as far as meeting the child yet, I say, who's supporting you? And at that point, there's generally tears. It's like, because no one's supporting the mum. And I've made a broad statement there. I understand that. But generally, mum, and again, I'm not disparaging dads, but I generally work with mums. So I'm just going to use that term, but it could be grandparent or dad or guardian, whoever. It's like they're so busy juggling plates. They're so busy trying to keep the household running, their other children, their job, that they've lost themselves. And sometimes the young person doesn't want to work with me because they don't have to. If that rapport's not there, if they don't, and sometimes a young person is sat down on the opposite side of the computer and told to talk to me or talk to someone. They don't know who I am. They don't know anything. That you've got to talk and open up to this person. It's like, who are they? Often, if the young person isn't interested in having this kind of coaching support, I'll end up working with the mum. The mum, as I see it, is like, it's a little bit of a cliche, but is like the lighthouse. You know, that beam that lighthouse emits, that ray of light, is the guiding light that the rest of the family are looking to. And it's all subconscious, but they're looking. And I had a call with a 15-year-old, high achieving, a young woman just this week. And she said, when mum's calm, the household's calm. But mums generally don't see that because mums often think their job is to worry. You know, I've had a very dear friend of mine say that, no, Marie, worry is part of a parent's DNA. I'm like, I don't think that's true. I just don't agree. So when the mum is able to see through the sense of worry, then things seem to quieten down. So I love, love, love working with mums because I feel there is, you said about ripple effect, Jackie, and it's like, I think that there is a ripple. If mum can see through the pain and the fear and the anxiety that she may be feeling right now, then that ripples out. Because I don't know whether it's like a lighthouse change of color. It goes from, stark yellow to a soft white or something that's a bit
Yeah.
more pleasing to the eye. And could I just share, I might work with young people and mums anyway, because there are lots of times when a young person might say, I don't want to sit on this call on my own. I want mum in the room. And I try quite hard for that not to happen, if only for mum to get like another hour on her own, just an hour to do something else, like a practical level. And usually it takes like about 5 minutes for the young person to say, okay, mum, you can go now. And I think that's down to my skill and my rapport to be able to really calm the situation. And also, to be fair, I will have done an initial call I will have done an initial call with a young person before the first session. So we will have had a practice run, if you like. So usually mum leaves, but if she doesn't, she's sitting in and listening. And that's really nice. Because although I want to be with a young person on my own, ideally to give them the freedom to say whatever they want, because young people are worried about their parents' mental health just as much as parents are worrying about their young people's mental health. Lots of young people, young people as well, will say, I don't want to tell her because mum will be really upset, or mum's got so much on her plate. So if mum's not in the room, then the young person is free to speak completely openly and freely. And the other ways I might work with them both together, which I know wasn't your point, but I think it's really interesting. Sometimes a young person will ask me to be an advocate. And they'll say, like I had a 10-year-old whose mum was super worried about her not having enough friends. And by the end of on our 5th session, this 10-year-old said, next session, the last session, can we get mum in the room? And I want to tell her stuff, but I don't know how to tell her. So we worked out what it is she wanted to say. And then we got mum in the room, and there was quite a lot of prep for it and love, and for mum not to feel she was being told off or anything like that. And then this little girl just wanted her to know that she was fine. She didn't want to have lots of friends. That mum's expectations of how many friends she should have and what they should look like just didn't meet her own. And it was really beautiful because mum, in the 3, with me being an advocate, so that was just helping this 10-year-old to be able to speak her speak without speaking it for her. Mum heard. That's really special.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can resonate with everything you have said. And, just, I was sort of almost like teleported back to the time when I, was a single mum with very young, 2 very young girls, one sitting there. And if I had that support from somebody like you, it's almost like I can just feel the energy and the field almost like that you will create for that, in that space for everything to kind of soften. It just feels, yeah, soft and in a beautiful space. And yeah, if I kind of had that when I was struggling at that time, wow, yeah, I would have seen something a little bit sooner than I did. And I really agree with that. We worry about our kids, and it feels so personal. It feels so heavy, and as if that, yeah, I'm a bad parent because, my children are suffering.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what did you
So
want to hear? So that Jackie back then with the two small girls, what would you have wanted to her to hear, to have been told?
I think that um it wasn't like you said clearly, it wasn't all on me. There was a lot of stuff going on under the surface that I just had absolutely no idea about at the time, that I just could not see. I didn't have the capacity because I was too bothered almost like about my own suffering that was going on. And looking back, that almost felt, well, that's almost like a selfish, but I didn't know any different. I didn't know, yeah, who I really was at that time, and we'll get into that, I'm sure, later. But that I had to almost like protect. I had this protective role, but also I was suffering, and it was almost like I couldn't calibrate my own self. It was just completely, yeah. Um,
Because if I say to one, somebody said to me once, full transparency, I haven't birthed my own children. I've had two stepsons in my life since they're in their 30s now, and they were 10 and 12 when I met them. So, significant amount of time, and they lived with us for a long time. And somebody said to me once, well, who are you to support mothers? And it's like, well, who am I not to?
mm,
Who am I not to? And if I listen to a mum and then I say, it sounds like you're doing a really good job. It's like, oh, 'cause nobody said it. And
yeah,
nobody said that.
yeah,
Everybody's critical. Well, that's not true, is it? We feel people are critical,
hmm,
and we assume and we compare and we judge ourselves against others. It's exhausting.
hmm,
So just to sit quietly with a mum and say, "This really sounds like you've done the best you can possibly do, given what you knew."
yeah, absolutely. Given what I knew, and that is the thing. It's because, of course, if we had clearer thinking, if we had, then would we not be, would it not be used in the right sort of? But it wasn't, and that's okay. But then, yeah, we maybe see something different.
So true. And then, Ellie, to talk about you like you're not here, but like, all the worry and fear we have when our children are tiny or little, and then here she is right here as a, gorgeous grown woman, in the business. It's like we can't predict it. We cannot predict what's going to happen to these young people.
Yeah, and I really
Yeah.
resonate with what you were saying around the young people also picking up on the parents' mental health and everything as well. Because, yeah, I remember being quite conscious of how many plates my mum was juggling back then, and always sort of thinking of ways that I could support and help her. And even if it was like doing the cleaning for around the house or bits and bobs like that, yeah, I was quite conscious of her exhaustion back then as well. Found it so interesting when you shared the story about the girl who very clearly said to her mum, "I don't need any more friends." And that just seemed so clear to her in that moment. But it's so interesting how, yeah, the mum had all this story going on about what this meant about her, or, well, not her, but obviously her child. And then, yeah, then also her as well, and everything, and the perception she's putting on that. But yeah, it just felt like in that moment, that girl was so clear and out of alignment with who she really is. Because obviously we all start that way, don't we? But then everything, yeah, gets added on and all this conditioning and beliefs and what have you. Yeah, for her to turn around and say that, I think that's just so amazing because
Yeah.
she's more in touch with that herself than her mum was in that moment, which is really cool. It's almost like the child parenting the parent there.
And that happens a lot, right? You know, I was the child of an alcoholic. She's no longer with us. And so when I was about maybe 13, I just used to try and be the best version of me, the most helpful, because I thought if I did that, she wouldn't drink so much because I just
Mm.
assumed that, you know, that I was part of the problem, whatever the
Yeah.
problem was, because I didn't know. And so, doubling down on trying to be a really good daughter, which then becomes a people pleaser. So then I grew up
Yeah.
to be a people pleaser, and until I spotted, and I am still a people pleaser, but I spot it sooner now. So then I can choose to continue to give and people please, or am I giving from a place of myself, so and sometimes I don't spot it, because that's the nature of being human. But it's interesting. I know we've got a few more questions, but like we're just talking about that worry being part of the DNA of a parent. And it's like when you were just talking, Ellie, it's like, yeah, and the child, no matter how old, and the parent are like doing a dance on eggshells, and they're both caught up in feelings of worry. And if you listen to the most wonderful Mavis Khan, she explains worry as a confusion of trying to be supportive, trying to be protective, trying to be responsible, trying to prevent something happening. Worry never prevented a single thing in the history of the planet, ever. To be loving, to be caring. So we think we're being all these things, and we're both trying to be it to each other in the same household, and then throw in a few more, then throw in adolescence and menopause and testosterone, whatever's going on with the dad, and you've got everybody's going around on eggshells. Nobody realizes it, and everybody thinks they're being something other than worry. And
Yeah.
worry, of course, is getting caught up in thought in the moment, if what ifs about the future, trying to control what's going to happen next. What's going to happen?
Yeah, just a quick sidetrack there just came to mind. As you know, I've been in dentistry for a long, long time, and it's amazing how when there's a child that is coming into my surgery, and I call them in from the waiting room, they sort of step up quite willingly. They don't seem to have anything sort of any kind of concerns or worries, but the mum's just sort of almost like, right there, I have to come with them up into the surgery. And it's like, she's never seen a hygienist before. So, she's going to be really, really scared. And there is no look of this scary or fear on this child's face, but, and there's this narrative, and it's like, is this really true? Is this really, and usually it's absolutely fine. But when I'm asking questions to this directly to the child, but the mum is always,
Yeah.
it is just this like, I've got to be protective. She's,
And
yeah,
and not realizing the capability of a young person. My dear friend, their dogs just had to be euthanized, and it's incredibly sad. And the daughter, who's nearly 21, was away in Prague, and she was about to come back. So my friend and my friend and her husband, both my friends, they decided to go to the airport to pick her up, to break the news to her. And they were so upset about breaking this news, and this was going to devastate. And I said, you know that she's got this. You know that she can handle this news, right? You know she's going to be upset. Well, we think we know she's going to be upset, but she can handle it. And my friend went, oh, it just hadn't occurred to her. And the other thing, sorry, you just reminded me, the thing that really sums it up for me is, so I rode bike. So I am one of those cyclists, right? That, we've got shared cycle lanes where I am. And I am very courteous, and I'm slow, and I'm always speaking to people and just behind you, really, really trying to have the best interaction I can. And so often there'll just be a child on the side of the road, and there is so much space for me to get past. And the mum says, "Oh, be careful, there's a bike." And it's okay. The child gets upset, the mum's upset. And it's that fraughtness. And actually, it was just a bike passing and there was oodles of room. And if the child just stays put, everything's fine. Like
Yeah.
you were saying, Jackie, the child's already got it.
Yeah. 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 And we talk about this sort of passing on this clean baton, but little Marino, it's like another one that just kind of gets passed on through the
Yeah.
unflinchingly through the generations, and
And so
yeah,
innocently though, right?
so
So
innocently.
innocently.
My gosh, yeah,
So
yeah,
we don't realise that mum with me on a bike is so desperate to protect her child. There was no protecting needed.
no,
Everything was
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
Anyway, I
yeah.
got that off my chest. Thank you.
Oh, lovely. So yeah, we've talked about sort of how you work with the young adult or the mum. So what impacts have you witnessed in the way that you work with people? What's on the other side of that? What does
Yeah,
that look
such a
like?
lovely question. I mean, there's so many. Letting go, letting go of old stories. I'm the kind of person who's dot, 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 having a quieter mind. You said it earlier, Jackie, not taking things personally.
Hmm.
Our child's behavior, children can behave awfully, and the things that they can say to mums. First of all, their brains are developing. So they're coming from their amygdala, the little reptilian bit. So they're in fight, flight, freeze mode. They haven't got this lovely compassion and negotiation. That's all still being developed. So children's behavior comes from that. And children's behavior comes from the fact that mum is the most safe person on the planet to them. Unconditional love. Just if a child can play out to anybody, it can be mum. But of course, that's really hard. So for mum to not take that personally is huge. It's massive.
Yeah.
I think a child, a young person, a teen or a tween, whatever you want to call them, having a sense that they're already okay, having a sense that what they were seeking, they already have so much.
And
I
just
Yeah.
cannot.
on that, just a side question. Obviously, when you're working with the mum and you're working with the child separately, around that piece of knowing that they have everything, is that in your experience, do you find that it's easier for the child to see that than it is for a mum to see that?
Well, it's such a great question, and it really depends. I could read the young person my book and they walk away saying, "Oh, okay. Yeah, I get a sense that I'm okay." And I've
Yeah.
been working with somebody for 2 years and she's hanging on to not being okay. And that sounds like a criticism on my part, but it's like she's clenching onto it.
Hmm.
And we actually talked last night and she said, we had a session and she said, "I'm so afraid that if I'm okay, then what happens?" Because
Mm.
her safety is in not being okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So much identity in that. It just feels so probably so yeah so heavy, and so who would I be without that? Almost that protection, really, of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
I am okay, that means I need to sort my stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
I need to be better at school. I need to do my homework. I need to actually step up if I'm
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah.
that can feel hard when that's an issue.
Mm. Yeah. Or go for what I really want. Even that in itself, it's like, well, gosh, what do I do with that? It could feel, yeah, huge, either side of that.
Well, it's like,
Yeah.
our brains, and I'm so not a neuroscientist, but our brains are designed to keep us safe.
Hmm.
But that's why we can't put our hand in the fire. Or if we do, we take it out instantly. And our brains keep us psychologically safe. And that's the comfort zone, So if the comfort zone is death by duvet, as I like to call it, or not being able to attend school, or feeling I've got social anxiety, or whatever it is, then that's my mind telling me to stay where I am because it's the safest place.
Mm.
And it's only when we can push beyond that, just
Mm.
tiny steps. That little 10-year-old as an impact, the little 10-year-old I told you about who whose mum wanted to have more friends, she's a little bookworm. And so through our session, she came back in the next session and said, "Oh, I asked this girl to be my friend at school, and she said yes." I'm like, "Wow, that's fantastic." And she said, "So we're together at playtime, and it's really nice. I've got one friend." So her mum was right in a way that, there was a friend to be found. And then a couple of sessions later, she said, "My friend, I see her every playtime." We said, "Well, sometimes I just want to read my book. So how
Mm.
do I tell her that?"
Mm.
And it's, well, you can just say, "Is it okay if we read our books in this playtime?" And she
Mm.
did. She asked her, and that's a little step. She had the courage to push her psychological safety net out, her comfort zone. And she asked her, and she said, "You know what she said?" Like, what? Because I really play into the conversation. It's
Mhm.
not counselling. It's very to and fro. And she said yes, and she'd like to read her book.
Brilliant.
Result,
Yeah.
result. So,
Yeah.
so that, so letting go, recognizing catastrophizing, for young people to recognize that they don't have to make assumptions and comparisons. I mean, friendship groups seem to be such a massive part of the work that I do.
Yeah.
And we can be horrible at school to each other. We can be
Yeah.
vile. And that's because everybody's pushing out because they don't want to look within. They're just pushing out,
Yeah.
pushing out.
Yeah.
So when we get a sense that that's not personal,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
we're into impact. We're into
Yeah.
transformational impact.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Great.
just on that and I guess the impacts, a slightly different question, but it'd be just interesting to hear what your perspective on it is, and if this is sort of a topic that's brought into your conversations with your young people, is that sort of impact of social media. And I know obviously we're talking about like friendship groups, but yeah, does that come into a lot of your conversations? And yeah, the sort of pressures to and that comparison piece, and yeah, that I think is even more apparent nowadays on social media, especially with now that young children have access to it. Yeah, basically from, don't even know how old you have to be on Instagram now. I think it is less than 16, isn't it, at the moment? But they're trying to increase their
But I think they're going to, as we stand today, I think they're going to trial blocking social media. I did have a 15-year-old who went to New Zealand for a month, and as part at Christmas just gone, and as part of her trip to New Zealand, they went to Sydney, Australia for 3 nights, and she said, "They blocked my social media. I I couldn't get I could," like, she was furious. She was absolutely all of it. Snapchat, all of it. She said, "It took me hours to get back on again." She was absolutely livid, affronted.
Mm.
So
Amazing.
it is a fascinating time. There's lots of discussion. I mean, there was a lot around videoing people being attacked, or I had quite a lot of work to do with people who had been victims of that. So they'd been beaten up and it had been videoed. I mean, I just, coming from a place of love, I cannot see that personally. Sexting, I hear less of it now personally, but then I was involved with a charity in Devon. So perhaps it's because I work with paying clients now. I don't hear it so much. Sexting, specifically young women sending photos that they regret. And of course, it's illegal to hold those photos on your phone now. So they're really tough. And friendship groups you know, this girl I was talking to last night, when it came to homework and her schooling, and she's in year 10, it's like, yes, but I've got real friendship problems that I need to resolve. So for her, the friendship issues they outweigh everything else.
Yeah.
I think I remember being like that at school.
Mm.
Power of friendships. Of
Yeah.
course, we didn't have social media, Jackie, you and I. We
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
if something happened, then we told 10 people. We're probably on the phone for about an hour to one person. Now, of course, 5,000, 10,000 people can know about it in seconds.
Mm.
yeah. Exactly.
And people changing school. People
Mm.
changing school because it's felt the right thing to do, and then through the power of social media, their story goes with them, so they land in the new school and everybody knows about what happened in the old school.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
Yeah, it's awful.
so tough.
I mean,
Yeah.
I moved to a lot of schools, but as you say, the social media wasn't the issue. But even just the moving and the bullying and the stuff that the new girl came, it was this, yeah, just trying to be something that I kind of wasn't. It was huge. So, to be a young person now, yeah, it's tough. Yeah. But yeah, good job. We have people like you.
Well, and you guys are doing okay
Yeah.
too. So, and there is enough, often people talk to me about the bad stuff in the world, and I think there's a lot of good stuff in the world, and it hugely outweighs the stuff that isn't so good. And let's just look out the window. Let's just,
Yeah.
be with the people we love and hope, hope is
Yeah.
so vital.
Yeah. And I suppose your approach and, obviously similar sort of meandering with the people, humans, in this direction that we're kind of discussing. A lot of times it isn't a quick fix, is it? It's, it takes time. Do you kind of sometimes have that initial, when you have that initial contact, is there this sort of, I want you to do something about this now, and can you fix it as quick as possible? And yeah, is that something that obviously you have to
Yeah, I
sort of
just don't do
explain?
it. When I first started my coaching business back in 2018, I used to drive all over Exeter to go and see people in their houses, and I'd do a one-off session, and I don't do anything like that now. I don't go anywhere. Um, it's all online, which young people seem okay with, and if they're
Mhm.
not, then I'm not the right person, to do
Mhm.
that for them.
Yeah.
And I just don't do, that one hit wonder. So if a parent says, "My child's in crisis, I need one session," it's like, nah. So I'll be doing 6 sessions, and depending on the young person, sometimes 6 is usually enough. And if somebody's got attention issues and stuff, then maybe we'll spread them out and we'll bank a couple and then bring them in. I try and be flexible, but I say 6. Because it is transformational. But with adults, I'll work for longer than that, or I'll have longer conversations, because I'm really encouraging whatever age this person is to see their world differently,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
to see it, like see it from within, see it from the truth of who they are. So when I have my little book, I have a diamond, and the diamond depicts the truth of who we are, the complete wholeness. And in the book, I use the word perfect, but by perfect, I mean complete and whole. I don't mean Instagram perfect. And, I'm always talking to the diamond.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm talking to your diamonds,
Mhm.
you know, because I'm not talking to the heady narrator that's what ifing and panicking and feeling anxious. And so when we're talking, I just keep using my diamond as a just a really simple metaphor. When we're talking diamond to diamond, we have insights. We're like, oh,
Mhm.
we're not talking enlightenment, although that would be quite cool. But it's like, oh, get it. Anything like that, where we see our world slightly differently, then we've had an insight. We've got a new map, and we don't unsee that.
Mhm.
But we might need to revisit it.
Mhm.
And I also, especially with young people, I've got a flip chart which I bring behind me, and we might do little diagrams. They might be explaining something, and I might try and capture it somehow, and the visual element of that is really useful. Anything that I can keep that message repeated and repeated, we keep going back to it, because as humans, all of us, like me too, right? I mean, me especially, I think, oh, I've got this life thing sussed. And then 2 minutes later, I'm back into a busy headspace, and I'm
Mhm.
caught up in all sorts of feelings. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm back, and it's a roller coaster,
Yeah.
and the roller coaster is, it's important to see that roller coaster of emotion is constantly moving and changing. Constantly. There's nothing. You two, me, us three, we've never had a permanent thought in the whole of our lives.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it's far, far more transformational because I'm pointing to a truth, which is like our okayness, our wellness is inbuilt, and it really feels like it isn't at times. That doesn't mean it's gone. People say, I lack confidence. Is that true? Sometimes you feel more confident than other times. And so that might take lots of exploring with different things until it's like, it's like the girl who is trying to let go of her not feeling okay and feeling a sense of, she's now, her challenge, which I don't often do, is to recognize the moment that she's feeling okay and just acknowledge it without trying to therefore force herself to feel sad again. And that takes some time. And the other thing, I would say is a lot of young people think I'm like a school counselor, and I have nothing against school counselors at all. But I'm like, no, we're different. Some other coaches might look in at the work I do with young people and they might not like the toing and froing and the fun element, but that's where the rapport sits. That's where trust comes in, and some trust, you can't just have trust like that either, I don't reckon, but it can be built quite quickly.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think in a world everyone's so busy, there's so much noise and so much going on out there. I think it's easy for people to gravitate towards those things that it's like this 5-step plan to happiness or something like that. And yeah, I mean, my mum and have tried various different, before we came to this understanding, various different tools and techniques. And yes, they obviously give temporary relief because, yeah, they make us feel better or whatever in that moment once we've achieved the 5 steps. But ultimately, if we're not really addressing where our experience is actually coming from, nothing's going to change. And I think that's sort of why it is maybe slightly unconventional, the approach, because it does take time, and I think it does take courage to actually look in a direction that feels slightly uncomfortable. Thinking about these feelings, these thoughts, it's not always pleasant, but we kind of have to go there to sort of reap the benefits on the other side, and really just feel it.
I think so. I'm working with a mum who's in her mid-60s, and she's got 3 grown-up daughters who kind of, I'm not gonna say they bully her, but they tell her exactly what they think a lot. And she says, "I just need tools. I need tools and techniques, Marie, so that I can cope. I just want you to give me the tools." And I'm like, "I am giving you the tools, and the tools are within you. So you are the tool, and from there, you're gonna get the tools." And she fought me, excuse the language, she was going, "No, no, just give me the tools."
Yeah.
And so now she's like, "I'm beginning to get it now. When I don't react to what they're saying to me, I can stay calmer, and then I don't fall into the old pattern of apologizing." It's like, yeah, there's the
Yeah.
But then that's so
Great.
amazing because it's never a tool anymore. It just becomes how you live, doesn't it? It's like I don't need to remember that this is what I need to do. It just becomes life, doesn't it?
no. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think I can remember, I call it, you've probably heard me say before that, felt like I've been hit around the head with a wet fish, like the rug had been pulled from underneath me, Oh my gosh, you can't unsee it once it's seen. It's just like the way you move through life in every area. We're not just talking about, parenting. It's, yeah, there's huge shifts everywhere, and relationships are massive. I think the improvement in all kind of my relationships are just, yeah, because it's come from within me. It's not trying to fix something outside. It's this internal sort of, just this knowing that, I am who I am, and there's nothing needing really fixing or changing. It's just a noticing of what is,
Yeah.
just what's going on in
Yeah.
the chaos, or not
Unfixing.
chaos.
Maybe it's about
Sorry?
Maybe it's about
Unfixing, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
This I love how Michael Neal is, this sort of this loving disruption. It is lovingly disruptive once we see what's going on underneath
Yeah.
and
And I
in the
love,
center.
yeah, I love, love, love. And it feels like, I guess it's a really good time to share this quote, which you've probably heard from Jack Pransky. And he says, all we are is peace, love, and wisdom, and the power to create the illusion that we are not.
Mm.
Perfect.
Perfect ending
Yeah.
to a lovely conversation. Oh
Great.
yeah, thank you. We always end on our last question. What does being in your well within look like to you in a sentence?
Well, that quote,
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Amazing.
I do
Summed
believe
it
that
up.
I am peace, love, and wisdom. And sometimes I don't feel it, but that's what I am. And if that's my starting point, then I can't see that much can go wrong.
No. And that's the ripple, the beautiful ripple that is I think it's of now it's kind of unknowingly, it just happens as everything else is just stuff. But that ripple, you don't have to, there's nothing you need to do about it. It doesn't need managing, it just is.
And even when it isn't, that's okay too, because it still
Yeah.
is. It just doesn't
Still
feel
is.
like it is.
It's
Yeah.
part of it, isn't it? Great. Well, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast. It's been a lovely conversation. But if our listeners want to know a little bit more about you and maybe get your book, where is the best place to send them? And we'll pop it in the show notes as well.
Well, thank you. My website is realizationworks.com, and the Amazon link to my book is there, and podcasts, and and a contact form. So realizationworks.com.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.